want to show you an example of how you can organize your files on your hard drive, and also use UF Apps SAS to get to those files, and how to use libraries so things are permanent. So I'm gonna be using the Citrix app called Workspace. It's on citrix.com downloads. Um, it's it's nice and stable, or more stable than the other Citrix stuff. So the way to go, you type in SAS or Stata, whatever, and then you can launch them. So I'm typically only using SAS, Stata, and the M drive. So the M drive is an app here that you can use to get files onto the M drive. So the M drive is in the UF Apps, so it's hard to access directly. So, but instead of using this M drive, there's a way in SAS to get to your hard disk. So you don't actually need the M drive tool to use SAS with UF Apps. So what we'll do, so I have an Excel sheet. Let's say your project starts with some hand collected data, and then you add some variables, and then let's say you cook up your data set in SAS, and then you want to bring it to Stata. So so on my hard disk I have a folder for this project. So on my hard disk, the E drive, I have a folder sample project, and let's say I have a data set in Excel. I mean, it's just not real. It's not that realistic, but in any case, this can obviously be a big data set, right? So the one thing to note here is that you need to remember the exact worksheet name, and that's basically all you need. So let's import this in SAS. Well, what we have here is SAS on UF Apps. So you see the UF Apps icon here, and let me show you that I can actually see my hard disk here. So the E drive, I had a folder example project, and that has a data collection. So the Excel sheet is here. I don't really need that Excel sheet. I don't need to click on it, but this is the relevant piece. You see the path to this file is with //client $. So to get to my hard disk through UF Apps is with this //client. So I'm going to be using that path directly. So SAS has a mechanism to import Excel sheets. Proc import, you tell it the type, the data set you want it named, and the path, right? The data file equals, that's the path. So this is the path to the data, to the Excel sheet, and notice how it has the //client $, etc. And the sheet equals needs the exact matching sheet name. So when I run this, I see blue, and blue is good. So this is now work.mydata. So in the work library, I should have a MyData now. Right, so here it is. Not spectacular, but whatever. So yeah, I'm getting some error messages on UF Apps, but it shouldn't it shouldn't happen for you guys. What if I want to have this more permanent, right? So my data is just in the work folder. So let me give a suggestion of how to organize your files. So let's say this is the folder example project, or my dissertation, or whatever. So let's say I have all my stuff here. So data collected is the data that you manually collect. Then you probably have some academic papers that you used to write your literature review. And there's going to be some PowerPoints, so you'll have a folder with presentations. You will be writing draft versions of the text. But for us, or for the data part, you probably want to have SAS and Stata. And then, so for SAS, I would store the SAS files in a SAS folder, but keep the data set separate. So let's say SAS data. You can also have this obviously on another hard disk, because the SAS data can be quite large and also not that important for backupping purposes, because if it's just generated, then you don't need to back up it so frequently, right? So, but okay, for now, I put them all in the same folder, and I want SAS data to be the place to store data sets. So then I'll make a library assignment. So libname, it can be up to 8 characters. I typically choose a 1 character because it's less typing. And it's the same //e example project SAS data, right? So I assign this. It's blue, so it was successfully assigned. So then instead of work.mydata, I can do p.mydata. So in the libraries, there's now a p library which holds the mydata. And in the and this is now permanent, right? So the mydata.sas7b.dat, so that's the SAS file extension for datasets, that is now on my hard disk, and it's permanent now. So let's say we do some transformation. Let's say this Excel sheet needs an extra whatever calculation or whatever. Let's say we do something with it. This is not going to be very spectacular, but just whatever. A is the sum of X, Y, and Z. Oh, I forgot to put the library name. Okay, there it is. So there's now an extra variable. Oh, it happens that the sum of those is 12. So then you can, if this is all the, just as an example, if this is all the stuff that you want to do in SAS, you can then bring it to Stata. So you can have a Stata folder. In the Stata folder, you can have like export from SAS. And then this should work. Right, and there it is. So then you can pick this up from in Stata. Let's just go do that. So open Stata. So let me copy this path. So and then in Stata you would do something like use oh, there's too many quotes. There are too many quotes. There's something it doesn't like here. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so the data set is in Stata. So in Stata has like the do file editor. So then you can have like some code in the do file. Regression. Regression. Well, that's not really going to fly with 2 observations, but whatever it is, you'll have your code here. And the do file you can also bring to that to the same folder, so UF Apps can get to the local disk. So here. Right, so then Stata will have a project file and a folder with the data sets. So that's the idea, to organize your stuff in a way that you like, with different folders for the different things. UF Apps has this M drive, which is kind of out of reach, but with this / client, you can get to the you can get to your local disk. If you find this kind of ugly, you can actually also use this these macro variables. So you can say let my folder equals my project folder. This is the project folder. Let me just copy that. So then everywhere where that's used, you can now use the reference to your project folder. With the ampersands. So let's just double check. So yeah, successfully assigned. Let me delete this thing. Let me delete both of them actually, and rerun this. Right, so the ampersand my PR folder, this gets substituted by this value. Right, so when you were to move, let's say, to another SAS, then like let's say a local copy of SAS, then you would only need to replace this. So if I were to run this with a SAS that's installed, I would just do this. So for SAS on UF Apps, I would run this line using my local install of SAS. I would use this line, and then I don't need to change any of the other code. This is also handy if you have a co-author. The co-author probably has different drives and whatnot, but then you would just set the folder as a macro variable, and then just whenever you refer to the folder, you use that macro variable. Here, let me also save. So this is still unsaved, right? So I can also save this on my local disk. Example project SAS my project. So in the SAS folder, it's currently empty, right? So this would be my project.sas. So my project.sas pops up here. All right. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this.